Hello, everybody. This is Edgar Eddie Fernandez. Welcome to the podcast and video of the Experiential Knowledge Solutions episode. So today, something that I want to talk to you about it is of the something that is very important to achieve or to implement actually various solutions for the cGMPs and safety compliance and management. So I titled this video and podcast is the future of transformation in the cGMPs and safety compliance and management. I think it's very important, the transformation part. And on this episode, we're going to analyze what is if we overuse this word transformation, yes or not, and what really does it mean. So what is transformation? Or let me give you a brief of the transformation of the cGMPs and safety and how can we tackle actually different situations with a different thinking. And actually we start with and so now organizations, they need to be ready to tear themselves away from any conventional thinking to tackle, for example, the top 10 citations from the FDA. Previous videos I've saying that the top citations haven't changed in the last 10 years, and the same for the recordable incidents, and the top 10 safety violations haven't changed the same in the 15 years. So it's a technical problem. I don't consider that. My answer is no. It's a human approach problem. Yes. So we need to start really thinking in a different way how we're going to tackle the human aspects in order to reduce citations and safety violations. So let me give you a common scenario I have seen in the industry for many years. So you have people in any kind of industry, pharmaceutical, food industry, medical device, when the FDA applies, and for the safety aspects, any type of industry doesn't matter. And you have people from 10 to 25 years of experience working at your organization. For sure, you're a big company. For sure, you have um, yeah, at least people they have been in your organization for 10 to 15 years or even more, 25 years or 40 years. And all of them, they have been exposed um, to audits from the FDA at least twice, at least as a minimum. And obviously, for the safety side, some of your workers that have been part of the Joint Health and Safety Committee, they know better than anybody else the current state of their workstations, and they have ideas and solutions how to, I would say, reduce incidents or how to make the jobs better at that specific location of your manufacturing facility or um, of your warehouse or your on any type or any other operation in your organization. So the question here is why we do have the same citations every FDA audit cycle, or how we are experiencing much injuries each year. That's the question, and that's the transformation. It's taking part of this. It's really tear themselves away or ourselves away from the conventional thinking to tackle or to find a solution in any kind of aspect or your organization. Sorry. So let me ask you another question. Is the transformation is overrated? The word of transformation is overrated. Um, I think it is, to be honest with you, because we use. So we have heard in the last 2 or 3 years digital transformation, cultural transformation, organizational transformation, etc., etc. So we use transformation for technology, for cultural transformation, for organizational transformation, etc., etc. And but really, first we know what is transformation means. Second, we do we know what is the steps that we need to follow in order to have transformation in our organization? Third, are we applying the same type of thinking on the transformation process to achieve certain results? That's the questions here. So that's the reason why my answer is, yeah, the word of transformation is overrated. Absolutely, there is no doubt about it. So yeah, so the meaning of this word is to, yeah, actually encourage to, it's the transformation actually, it's encouraging people or organizations to perform and generate solutions. And that's the only way that your organization is gonna adapt quickly to the new challenges that the market or the environment outside is demanding. So actually, transformation is going to allow you to find a fit solutions to solve certain problems or to find certain solutions. For example, like I said, so if we have the top 10 citations from the FDA every year, pretty much the root causes are the same. So the problem is technical aspect? Absolutely not. Is human aspect? Absolutely yes. So it's how we are implementing those changes every time that we have a citation and we don't have the result. So that's the reason. That's the main goal of this podcast is the transformation, or how we need to transform our companies. Actually, I have 7 steps here that I'm proposing to you guys in order to have or start to transformation in your organization. Like I said, to achieve results such as decreasing incidents, decreasing injuries, stop people getting injured, um, stop getting citations from the FDA, stop getting or get the minimal non-conformances scenarios identified during an ISO audit, for example. That is really the main goal of transformation. And obviously to innovation. Innovation is not technology. Innovation is, like I said, the ways that we gonna find solutions, the way that the company in specific or your business it's it's providing solutions to others. In other words, it's defining the culture. And I believe it having these steps in in your business or organization really is the basics that we need to start in order to excel in other aspects or in other aspects of organizations to comply, for example. So let me start. So how we start? Well, how we start to start a meaningful and real transformation? That's the real key. But you're capable. You have obviously the budget, right? Many organizations and businesses right now they designate a full-time CTRO or a Chief Transformation Officer. And this person actually is in charge of leading, planning, and executing and measuring the transformation strategy. So we need to have a strategy in order to start doing the transformation. That's the first step. The second step is transform the old behaviors by developing soft skills into your organization. That is very important. Why? Because normally now, especially right now, we are companies actually, organizations and businesses. They are looking for people who have certain specific or certain and specific soft skills. However, if we see inside of the company those specific soft skills that we are looking for people outside, we don't have any inside, and that's the reason why we have people sometimes they don't last in organizations because they don't match. It's like a relationship. You need to match, right? So I'm looking for certain soft skills. I need to know first what those soft skills are, and obviously I need to have those soft skills implemented and teach and taught to my employees or workers in order to make that type of transformation. So it's essential to develop leaders at all levels to first to teach them soft skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, uh, service oriented skills, cognitive thinking, to mention a few of them. So we need to teach them to the leaders that we're gonna choose or we're gonna use to make the transformation. When I say leaders, I'm not referring only to top management. It's leaders on the floor. So you need, in order to be successful now with your cGMPs and safety management system, or including quality management systems, before actually, or you have it right now. Well, you need to do it in parallel, but it's building the basics pretty much is gonna be your base. It's like a home, right? And you're gonna start building your culture. So you can, as a compliance officer or as a chief transformation officer, you cannot do it by yourself or the CEO. So you need people. Obviously, in the normal way to do it, it's you transfer some of the responsibility or much of the responsibility to managers and supervisors, but really it's not that the case. You need to use workers and employees to do the transformation as well. And it's when you need at all levels to start changing the behaviors. That's the mean that calls base behavior. Base behavior is changing this is implementing these skills in your organization. How you want to solve problems, the way that you want to solve them, the way that you people need to think in this in your specific organization. So you are defining the culture. So that's the really the exciting thing of transformation. So that's the second step. The third step actually, so no, before that, let me give you an example and a case. For example, on the FDA citation, um, so you have the one of the top citation is making manual changes by hand, and those changes are not reflected on the master document. Well, one of the top priorities, or one of the priorities for these leaders of transformation should be to eliminate that behavior that is the lack of data on master documents or making manual changes on master batch records on the go and nobody knows, and then suddenly when the auditor review master batch records and they and against the the um, the master document, um, doesn't match. So that's a behavior that is not a technical. It's not a technical problem because everybody knows that it's not allowed to do that. But why we do it? That's a human aspect that we need to tackle. And when you have actually leaders on the floor using the workers, so you can start changing that behavior by not implementing those changes. How we're gonna do it? That's the question. So work people you're gonna use at all levels, they're gonna give you the solution automatically because they are participating on the project. They believe that their ideas and contributions are important as well. So that's the way you have to do it. So how do you expect to do it? It's very easy. Well, it's by communicating the new behavior and coaching the peers, and to make sure that it has been understood. Also management should track this effort through a critical performance indicator or a key performance indicator. The number three is building leaders, experts everywhere. Well, I explained myself on the second step. So now you need to build leaders everywhere. Something that also that I'm forgot to mention on all behaviors, or those behaviors they need to transfer as well to the top management. That is not that about it. So this behavior is going to be from the top to the bottom. So when you build leaders actually everywhere, you're gonna have more ideas to solve or to eliminate those citations or to reduce injuries. Your hazard assessments are gonna be way better, more quality, more information. Some you're gonna identify scenarios that you haven't identified before, and that's the reason why you build those leaders. Once you have those, for example, hazard assessments, so now the action items they can start implementing, and those action items they should be identify the type of behavior that we need to change. So that's very important. The number 4 is define what experts and leaders do every day. This is critical. So how we do that? So we need to define the activities and behaviors to perform day by day in our daily activities. Like I said, from the top to the bottom, from the CEO or from the manufacturing director to the operator on the floor. So how we do it? Because normally that we do it is to, so for example, if I go and talk to the manufacturing or to any type of position, a manufacturing director, and I say I have a project for continuous improvement, I need people every twice a week for 3 hours each session, and then that's the way that we want to achieve this identification of hazard hazard scenarios that they can cause or can lead to injuries. And that's the problem, because now you are you are taking chunk of people in a chunk of time, right? And then you take 6 hours every week, or 3 hours or 4 hours every week, and you take 4 employees, so you are affecting actually production. And that's when the conflicts actually they started. So then they say, okay, well, I cannot support that initiative because now you are taking people from the production operations, and that is affecting me. Well, the way to do it actually it's setting goals, and you're gonna ask, well, that is a goal, but really is not. Setting goals per month to assess, for example, potential citation in your quality management system in the pharmaceutical industry, or is something that you have identified workstation in your organization or your manufacturing facility. So, okay, you have the 5 critical workstations that you need to do something in order to identify hazards, right? Or you have stations that really you have had, I don't know, 3-4 injuries per year, for example. How you do that? How you improve that? That's a question. But the answer is actually you define activities and you start measuring those activities. So let me give you an example. I have it here actually. So so you start okay, for example, you have most of the companies sometimes they do safety meetings in the morning. So something that you're going to start doing is measuring that safety meeting. You're going to make sure that the goal of the safety meeting is reached every day. So you can do it by measuring punctuality, what's going to be the topic of this safety meeting, and would say, for example, it's going to be identifying uh, reach critical points or reach points when you're when your workers they can I don't know, reach in running nips, for example, cut by points, etc. Something that they really you, you need machine guarding, for example. So you identify those points, right? And then you say, okay, so this is going to be the topic of the safety meeting. So tomorrow or in 2 days, tomorrow. So please let me know how many points you found that there are critical that would really we need to assess. And so that's and the next day that you go back to start your safety meeting, and and everybody needs to bring, I don't know, not everybody. So you start talking about the in running the in running nips, the cut bite points, etc. And then now that if you have a positive answers and somebody identify that, so really you reached your goal. That's one. Another, for example, another goal is in your safety meeting. Now you measure punctuality, you define your goal, and you make sure that all the attendants they are there. So that's another one is attendance. So because they can be in they cannot be on time, but they are there. All everybody is there, but they can be on time, and not everybody is there, for example. So that's one. And actually, I was talking to a top a top manager in one of the organizations, and for example, this person is measuring how many conversations workers on the floor have a week. You need to have at least one safety conversation. It's if everybody raise their hands on Friday morning that they have one safety conversation, so the goal has been reached. If somebody doesn't have any safety conversation, the goal hasn't reached. So it has built trust, and obviously people started reported more. So in other words, this is not technical, the situation is behavioral. Now, what is the behavior? Is the trust on the safety program that is helping them to reduce injuries. That's the behavior that you need to implement or you want to implement. So in define what experts and leaders do every day also, especially for top management, for manufacturing directors, is micromanagement. You don't need to micromanage everything. So you need to allow other leaders that you design, that you assign or appointed before to do the job. That's the reason why you build leaders and you everywhere to start implementing to start making the transformation. So now you define as a top manager what you're gonna do. So you need to participate in inspections, for example. Why you a manufacturing director is participating in daily inspections. That's the reason why you build your leaders. You build the people who's gonna lead those inspections. They have all the knowledge how to perform an inspection. You develop your inspection sheet and go for it. And then obviously at the end they're gonna report you the findings. And maybe you don't need as a manufacturing director you don't need to be involved. Managers of maintenance they need to be involved, production manager, supervisor, etc. Only they report to the manufacturing director that the goal has been reached. You identify certain situations that needs to be fixed to be in compliance or in order to prevent injuries. And that's you find that you put in work orders, and those work orders they need to be closed. Is when you measure the effectiveness of the inspections. So first you realize you perform your inspection, yes. So it's a check mark, yes, positive. And then the second one is if you need if a work order is necessary, it was necessary, that's another check mark. And the another one is that has been closed and it has been resolved. So that's how you measure your I mean, it's how you measure the activities of the people who needs to do inspections, for example. Um, let's continue. Number fifth or number five is help experts to manage their time. And I have on start this one actually with I have a study case. So it's not freezing time for them, like I said before. It's not taking people for 3 4 hours to participate in a safety or quality or compliance or any type of improvement program, because that creates chaos and conflicts between departments. And that's the reason why many times transformation is not successful. So the things that you do to start managing or help experts to manage their time, So the people that you're gonna use as a leaders, performing certain projects. It's define goals, aspects, how to execute the specific tasks, and let me use this example for if the organization wants to reduce injuries, assess hazards to predict scenarios which can cause injuries, the organization should set more than well, the organization shouldn't set more than three objectives or goals, because actually when organizations they set goals, I would say, but would say 10 goals, and each one of those they have 10, you weighted 10% each. That is another problem, because you don't show the importance of each one of the goals. So normally it's recommendable to set no more than three goals, and to start or to help experts to manage the time. So we will use this scenario, this hypothetical scenario. So the organization XYZ wants to reduce the recordable incident rate from 1.7 to 1.0. That's the main goal. So what we need to do? So now we need to develop the activities to reach that goal. So first is according to that goal. So you set the activity, like I said. So identify the workstations or the critical workstations that had been that when workers are getting injured. So so in other words, well, the first goal is to decrease the recordable incident rate. The second, so identify workstations or locations or activities or tasks that are generating, according to your data, to your reports, you have had a lot of, I would say, injuries, or a lot of hazard reports, or some near misses. So that's the way you start. The second activity is evaluate the current hazard assessment to determine if they're accurate according that we have on the workstation or the specific workstations, and or not. And that's the thing. So you need to assess the data. Number three is perform Heisenberg blitz. If you wanna use lean manufacturing, you can use something different, simple hazard and risk assessments. Perform assemblies to those situations to determine if the current state helps to reduce injuries. I'm using this example in safety, but it's not different in quality. It's not different in other type of compliance either. That's the same type of, in general, activities or schematic that we need to use. And four is determine three possible solutions that will help the organizations to achieve the goal. So really, it's not taking chunks of time, chunk of people to participate in a certain project. Actually, you define the goal, and then you generate, in paper you develop the activities, right? You list the activities to achieve that goal. And that's the way to help people or leaders that they're going to help you with transformation to manage their time. Measuring the progress, so important. Measuring the progress, KPIs, or another type of indicators, or another type of measurement system that you want to apply, it doesn't matter. So you need to measure the progress as the main goal. So one of the things actually that I've been talking through this video and podcast is organizations mainly they focus to measure big goals, something that we consider that is going to be an very impactful, very that is going to change actually the action of our works on the action of the company needs to go. However, we don't measure the basic things, and that is another way to tackle this type of deficiencies. So really, we need, for example, you need to reduce citations or the recordable incident rate. That's something that everybody tracks. And when you present to the top management or the board of directors, and you as a safety vice president, and then you say my ARR, my recordable incident rate is 1.7, and everybody freaks out. Everybody says, oh, okay, that is too high. But really, what's behind of that is something that we need to measure. From the basic things, like I said, effectiveness in inspection, effectiveness of safety meetings, effectiveness of daily morning meetings, effectiveness of everything. Those basic things that you don't need to be complicated. You need to measure that. In each project of only in at each transformation project, you need to measure something. Could be one indicator, could be three, two indicators, or could be three indicators, no more than that. But you need to measure that in order to determine if your behavior has been changed or not, or you need to adjust. And that's the real thing. That's the real goal to measure progress. It's working, yes or not, what I need to adjust. Not the because and then now we have a problem. Not really. No, we need to dig down, dig deep, and see where we can improve. Um, And then the last step actually it's is set incentives. When we set incentives, it's financial or non-financial. In other words, it's monetary or non-monetary. So that those ones are important as well, believe it or not. And the non-monetary ones, I'm gonna focus on that. They are really, really important. There are companies that they have certain systems. There are systems for prices. So you participate in certain project and it was successful. They give you points, and then when you accumulate certain amount of points, you can get a wallet, you can get a pen, you can get anything. Really, some of the things, and really that helps people morale. The same, obviously, the financial stuff absolutely helps people as well, and actually is going to impact the performance appraisal as well, right? You participate on those projects, you get force, exceed expectation, and then yeah, your salary can be increased. I'm not saying it's gonna be because that depends of any each organization, but really the organization needs to set those goals as well. They needs to set those incentives because it's very important. Um, Maybe you can say as an organization, no, we don't here we don't incent people because our workers and employees they know what to do and they know what we expect from them. That is a certain point is true, but however, you want to really increase morale, you need to set those goals. I understand perfectly that sometimes or many times you cannot do monetary incentives, but you can do some non-monetary incentives, systems that you can get for a certain amount of points. You can get a barbecue grill, for example, a wallet, like I said. Um, what other something for your vehicle, those type of things that pens that in general, believe me, some is helps a lot. Jackets, for example, right, with the logo of the company, a nice one, why not? And believe me, helps a lot. So transformation, I want to actually um, this is very. I like this, and actually, I read it from the one of the articles from McKinsey and Company that the transformation is not for everyone else. It's for you. I agree with that actually, because talking with with some people as well in the industry, so let me use it on safety because this is very common in safety. We say that safety is the number one priority, or safety is the top priority. Many organizations they do that, but really, or in reality, we know that is not true. And let me tell you why it's not true to avoid misunderstandings. The goal of the company is to produce, is to generate revenue. That's the number one priority. That's a reality and that is a fact. Now, how you want to produce, or how do you want to generate that revenue? That is a different story. And then now you frame the way that you're gonna generate those revenues, and safety absolutely needs to be part of that frame. So many companies that use safety is our choice. Yeah, really it is. And why? Because the safety is our number one priority, is causing more conflicts than benefits. Because that happens, really that's a fact. However, let me give you an example. If somebody exercises the right to stop a line of production, they can do that. But however, how the organization is going to proceed to investigate the stoppage and give the solution, that's when this behavior comes. But the first one is actually the most important one, is the employee or worker exercise the right and he doesn't or she doesn't have a fear to do that. That's the behavior that you want. So that's the frame that you are implementing, or you are actually, that's the behavior that you are implementing in your organization. The number one priority is to make revenue for sure, but how? So if your people or your workers and employees see something that is unsafe, so they stop, that's the right behavior to have. So, and that's when transformation can start. It's the same for quality. If they have seen something that is not, that is going to cause some type of challenges on the cGMP compliance, well, they can stop it right there and advise the experts and find the solutions. So at the end, is that the thing that you wanted to start to start being successful on your FDA audits, to being successful on your safety management programs and compliance. Really, you need to start tackling the basics. Let me tell you something. The new ISO 45001, and I think the ISO 9001, the last version 2015, they introduced something that is leadership, to get more involvement from top management. Really, it's important they include that, and actually you need to start tracking that. The problem is on the standard steel is not telling the or is not encouraging or focusing this transformation on the small things that really at the end there are the biggest things, bigger than the recordable incident rate be below 1.0, bigger than no citation of the FDA, and be able to reproduce batches every time, for example. So those things actually is something that we don't we don't measure, right? So sorry guys. So really, I mean, encourage companies actually and force companies, to be honest with you, to the top management participate more. But if you don't start measuring these basic things, changing behaviors on how you need to perceive certain situations, certain violations from the cGMPs, how to reduce these incidents, and start tracking those important things. Um, I consider in my personal experience, and actually there are books that support that as personal experience, that we won't be successful. Book that I recommend actually, it's the human based behavior safety, the human approach. Is a good book to read. You want to start really developing changes on people, how to perceive safety. This book has been for many years, but it's really, for me, it's one of the main books to lead transformation, for example. Thank you very much, guys. Hopefully, you enjoy this video. And my YouTube channel actually is a PowerPoint presentation. And obviously the podcast is only my voice, but it's also you can find the article on the LinkedIn, and my profile is www.linkedin.com/in/Edgar Middle Rope Fernandez, and you can find that article as well there. And see you next time. See you next week with another article. If you have interest to find a topic that you want me to search more and make a podcast, don't hesitate. I can do it. Like I said, the Experiential Knowledge Podcast, and it's not only for it's applying the knowledge for safety and quality, but also we can apply for other areas as well in order to help you to find solutions for your challenges, or to find solutions to expand or find new markets. Thank you very much, guys. Have an excellent day. Bye.